Hey, it's 28 millimeter RPG, Rick here. And with me today, we have, beside me here, Crispy. That's all he says.
I'm not good at these intro things. I always mess it up every time. And I'm not even trying to. Okay, does he want me to say something? All right, next.
Down below me here, we have Dice Tales Dan with us.
Hey there. Good to be here. I'm the becoming the new 4D Nazi now. So I thought I'd join in and give my input.
And of course, kitty corner for me in the corner. We have Sean, or
hello,
the existential threat. Alrighty. Today we are going to be going through some clips of some Traveler games because we want to do some Traveler watch throughs, basically small clips. We'll analyze them and see what could be done to make them 4D. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready for this? Ooh.
I am now.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
Console before you hear.
Here, turn up the volume.
I wish I could turn it up anymore.
There is stuff showing on the radar screen and everything, and you see that there is some movement outside, but it doesn't look to be.
How
like
many
you see
people are
something
there?
Go by, float on by. It's some sort of
Are you doing all those NPCs? What?
Yes, I am doing all the NPCs. And yes, this is our old Traveler game that I had, maybe a couple years ago. And this is me in the, I should really change the icon here because it's there we go. It's some 2D gaming that we have going on here.
Wow.
We won't even call
Quick
it
downgrade.
Complete
I remember
downgrade.
the guy with wearing the sunglasses upside down.
Oh yeah, Fred. So none of these guys have been introduced to the idea of staying in character, saying where their characters are going. And of course, I'm, being the know-all, end-all of all NPCs. And it's just, yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. How far shall we go through this? Do we dare?
Oh, as far as necessary. Rick.
Oh God!
Oh
God!
Christy wants to go further.
Just put your hand up if you need to say something. Okay.
Okay.
This is going to remind me of how I used to play.
Oh yes. I'm getting a migraine already watching this.
You can tell it's tracking it as it goes past.
I'm gonna sit in the seat there and see if anything else happens.
With your new friend.
With my new friend.
Yep. And
I don't think he'll mind.
So you guys are on a spaceship. I'm taking it.
Okay.
The setting is right now they are on an abandoned space station.
Okay.
And they did encounter a couple of robots that fired at them. So I think Dave Cadogan is going to be shutting, doing the welding the bottom of the doors kind of thing, making sure that they're all closed, that sort of stuff. So that's what's going on here.
Hey, Fred, Buck Rock Salt, you're in the double stateroom there, kind of hibernating down. What are you doing, sleeping?
You said hibernating down.
Yeah, well, doing something. I don't know what you were doing last time. So you're in the double stateroom there.
Well, that's item number one right there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go
ahead, Dan.
Go hard.
Go first.
Go hard.
Yeah. Having to say to them, where are you? What are you doing? And kind of suggesting to them what they might be doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things that it takes you right out of the scene.
Yeah. I could be instead on point narrator mode instead. And not reciting exactly what everybody's doing and stuff like that. it's kind of redundant information when you get into 4D. You kind of realize that after, that you shouldn't start repeating what other people are doing. So,
Yeah, but to be fair, back in those days, I mean, that's how it was done. People,
Oh yeah, I
people
have a lot of
didn't.
nostalgia for this.
So
I have a lot of
it's-
nostalgia.
Yeah, you sometimes didn't know yourself where the heck your character was because the GM may have picked them up and moved them.
Well, that was going to be my comment, Dan, is that if you're going to do the token thing with the map and the floor plan, and then every NPC is on the floor plan too, then why is there any question as to where you are? Like, don't you just go by where your pog is?
That's true.
Or
That's
was
true.
it because you had to move him around? Was that why you were? Because it seems to me that if you have the map, then there should never be a question as to where you are. You're there on the map. But that could maybe fill us in, Rick. Was that you had to move them around, or were they moving themselves around, or how does that work? This is
I
Fantasy
believe,
Grounds.
Yeah, I believe this is Fantasy Grounds.
So
I was moving them around.
So you had locked movement from the player
Yeah.
side. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, you will activate it in order for them to, so that their move can actually move. But they weren't quite versed in the interface yet. So when they would go ahead and move something, they would do like 5-6 different moves. And so their token would go all over the place and then finally settle into the spot where they're supposed to go. It was a mess. I had the worst time in this virtual tabletop. I'll never use a virtual tabletop this way ever again. I may use it as a journal. I may use it to show an image or something, or roll the dice, but I will never use it in this kind of context anymore. I'm back into theater of the mind, so using the mindscapes now.
Mindscapes are good.
The mindscapes, yes.
I never liked Theater of the Mind.
No,
It sounds too thespian.
yeah. Well, like I say,
Loaded theater word.
do we want to go through any more of this? Do you want to torture me any more on this? I hate watching myself.
One problem I had with this style of play is I'll be in a game store and I hear players talking like this. Where are you? What are you doing? I keep thinking, oh, they're just starting the game. They've been here for 3 hours. They act like they're still starting the game.
Yeah, actually,
they are still in the tavern.
Yeah, this was starting the game. This was beginning of the session from the last session. So they're kind of restating where they were from the last episode, but still. Oh.
I have another question for you, Rick, before we leave this one. When what we're seeing here on this video capture, what would the players see? Are they just seeing their Fantasy Ground client? They're not seeing each other on the video, or is that like a Discord that you're doing?
No, they are seeing this. They are seeing everything.
They're seeing what we're seeing
right here. Yeah.
Okay. Because what criticism I'd have, and please, don't take it too hard. This is exactly what I was doing a year ago today, kind of thing.
Today.
Time flies.
The problem is, what do you want the players to focus on? Are they supposed to focus on the map? Are they supposed to focus on who's speaking? Are they supposed to focus on each other? It's so busy. There's so many things to be focused on here that it's hard. It's easy to get derailed, I think.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a common theme between all of these clips, and something that people might be inclined to be wary about is you're creating a vision, a widespread vision for the players, and they don't know what to actually kind of key in on. When you play Theater of the Mind, you create that by creating the focus, but by your description. So, for instance, for instance, that scene that I did with Phil, where he entered the room and I started spewing out all the things that were in the room. I shouldn't have done that. I should have created the focus first in the room, what he sees in the vicinity, and then when I kind of go from one object to the next. Just let them know the basics. It's a statue standing on a altar on one end, statue standing on an altar on the other, and a double door should have been suffice.
Right. The problem is you used a Canadianism there. You said they were kitty corner to each other.
Yeah.
And you could, and that's something that's our word, Rick. We can't share that word with the Yankees.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Kitty Wampus? Kitty Wampus.
It's
one other comment on this.
Yeah. Sorry, Dan. Go ahead. Yeah.
And this is more a limitation, I think, of me, and I suspect it might be fairly common. I get the idea of wanting to put things in their place, with a map and a diagram, and I think done properly and with good tools, and I don't know if we have those yet, and that's another debate. What happens to me when I see this is now I'm anxious. Who are these people that I'm looking at? Which ones are the guys that which of these pogs is the guys I'm playing with? Which of these are NPCs? Yeah. And I because my brain is not able to assimilate that, I'm immediately taken out of my role play, and I'm anxious now because I don't want to say or do something inappropriate, but I don't know who the heck I'm in the room with. And I struggle with that. That's kind of why I go toward the pardon me, Sean, not the theater of the mind, but the mental visualization of the scenery method of play, because I just find that's easier to grasp. And that has its problems too, because you can lose track of where people are, and there might be someone in the room with you, and that may have come out in play, and you've lost track of it because you were thinking on something else. So that's a challenge. But somewhere in between having the map and keeping it in your brain, there's got to be a happy medium for keeping you in the scene.
Yeah.
Rick, you see the guy in the double stateroom at the top there?
Yes.
When I see the screen, I'm thinking, is that player conscious of the guy down in the cargo hold? Because from where he's standing, he can't see that guy in the cargo hold.
Exactly.
Is he going to metagame and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to so and so in the cargo hold," and maybe that NPC is a stowaway that no one even knows about yet?
Right.
Because I'm looking at your screen, so I don't know what the player screens look like with their line of sight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, modern tabletops with the fog of war feature can deal with that if the referee is dexterous enough to be able to, use the tool well enough, make things appear, disappear as they're supposed to.
You got to put in the map markers and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I know. So I've done it.
Pogs line up with the squares, and you have to scale all the pogs to the squares.
Yeah, you have to be careful with the occluders. You have different types of occluders.
Yeah.
And then you have occluders that you have to be able to remove, and if you remove too much, then you reveal too much.
I've ended up making an invisible wall that I didn't know was in a room and trapping a player. But if those tools evolve to the point where they're intuitive, I think that might be a happy win. It does, to a degree, rob you a little bit of the visualization because you have, the map of it. But I think it's kind of, it could be a win if it was well enough done.
Right.
You can buy them already made up for you, or you can wait for the AI to do it for you, but then you're paying a subscription for an AI.
Yeah. The issue we had, and we did both modules that came with maps where all the occlusion was done, the light sources, the fog of war, everything was already done for you. It still feels slow, when you, especially when you're trying to get things really moving quickly.
Yeah.
It's just
yes.
slow.
Yeah.
I just
you get
the tool just isn't there yet.
Yeah, you get that dissonance that happens when you're looking at your POG and you just see all that information and you feel that you're not the character. Like you can't portray yourself as the character fully because you're not in the mindset of the character. You're looking at a pog and you're looking at all these other pogs and you're just moving your piece around. And it's just it's a weirder kind of. I find it just strange,
And
looking
you were
back
using
now.
Mongoose Traveler for this?
Yes.
Now imagine doing this with GURPS.
Oh my God!
You just added a whole other level of pain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain of this is trying to toggle on and off targeting all the time when they meet a enemy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Control
just-
left click. No, control left click again. No, look at the combat tracker. No, you've targeted the wrong. No, you're targeting me now. Oh, you just did damage to me. Oh, I was supposed to heal you. I know. I've done this.
Yes.
Spent many hours.
What about Control Alt F function 2? Do you remember?
It's crazy. It's crazy, and I feel like in the middle of a session when I'm using Fantasy Grounds, I feel like I'm just tech support, and I should be I'm just answering tech support questions.
Yeah,
it's so tedious,
standing by.
and the players feel bad too because the guy's like, oh crap, it's not working. Where was it? Oh, I hit it twice. I'm sorry, I hit it twice. Which result do you want me to take? I'm like.
Now,
all right, forget it.
Let's clear our minds. Let's clear our minds now. Here we
It's
go.
like,
Here
I'm
we go.
Waking up, we must be.
Hey, I'm wearing the
Other
same thing.
destination.
That's embarrassing.
I sit back. I sit on the corner of the bed, gather my spirit a bit. I need to go see the region captain. And I walk to the intercom of the ship on the wall.
Here, stop. Was there an
that's about-
intercom on the wall?
There is now.
There is now.
Okay.
This is 4D, so everything that everything that Max is imagining, he is bringing into play. He would imagine that there's an intercom, but yeah, it's awesome. And I'm just standing back and I let these guys go. I know
No
there was
conversation. No conversation about is there an intercom? Where is it? Am I close to one?
it's
Does
like
my
heaven.
Push the button.
This is heaven. This is so nice. It's the thing is,
it's just a prop. That's all it is a prop.
I think we mentioned this at the end of the session, Crispy, that there was a lot of like, you were thinking maybe I went too far, in bringing in something, or no, it was you guys were absolutely in setting. And it was great. As whatever you guys said, it was happening, and I commend you guys for not bringing on things that would
My pocket elf. Come here, Dobby.
No one
Fix
invented
this problem for
no
me,
one-
there
Dobby.
you go.
No one invented a transporter room and beamed over their Borg army to kill everyone.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody-
One of
no-
the things one of the things I'm hearing on the internet a lot, and actually before I came here, I was in the RPG Pundits live stream, and people were dissing on 4D roleplay.
Mhm.
And what you guys just said gave me an idea. Often where it's a cue, the big thing is, you're just doing improv. This is theater, not role playing. And I think we need to Mr. Max's point a few months ago on one of his streams, we need a taxonomy for our gaming. And I think one of the things we should start talking about, and this just occurred to me, so go ahead and dump on it as an idiotic idea if it is. Assumed reality is an element of 4D role playing, and assumed reality is taking for granted the existence of consistent things in the environment you're role playing in. You're not improvising it.
No.
Somebody said it's a prop. Shauna, I think you said it was a prop. Bingo. Exactly. The props are there. So
it's not the main subject.
And when someone accuses us of doing improv, I think the response is no, we just have an assumed reality in our game.
How many items do
it's
you
a
have on
game.
your desk? How many items do you have on your desk right now?
Counting individual dice?
No, just keyboard, mouse, all that kind of everything, all of it.
About a dozen and a half, 2 dozen
That's too
items.
much.
It's
You're
crammed with
you're
crap.
power gaming. You need to reduce it to 3 items only.
I just need to get rid of the dice and do improv. That's what I need to do.
I got two dice. I got 2 dice just in case.
What I like about this as a contrast to the one you showed us at first was
Mm-hmm.
that here we see there's not that question of where are you? Like you're not asking Max, where are you? What do you do? Right?
No.
And Max is waking up and he's like the rest of us. For those of you that didn't already know this, we woke up, we had no idea. We didn't have a map in front of us. We wake up from our cryo sleep and then we're discovering the world one room at a time. And doing that unbidden by Rick. Rick is just there to describe what we have said. And I really like, or what we say we're doing. So he's just there to provide kind of that, okay, well, here's the check and balance. The ship's not going to let you build that. But he does that in the world, within the fiction. And what Max has displayed here is he's without the need of a map, he can quickly interact with the world around him. And because we already knew we were in a science fiction setting and we're in a spaceship, there's got to be some way to talk to the other rooms. I mean, my house growing up had an intercom in it. Certainly when we're going to Alpha Centauri or Proxima, wherever, we're going to have some kind of intercom on a spaceship. It was just excellent. So
I went to a friend's house in the 80s. I went to a friend's house and he had an intercom in every room of the house. I'm like, wow.
Oh, it was so annoying. Oh man.
Their house had a view of Pacific Ocean and stuff. Lucky.
Yeah.
I never used it though.
Yeah, I like that in this instance, I don't have pogs to move around. We're not eating up a whole lot of time, just, shuffling pogs in order to get them from point A to point B. It's just happening, it's
you're using index card maps, but without index cards.
Right. Exactly. I made each room here a picture, so it gave it some form of continuity, and that was it. That was the only reason for that, and to give the impression that there are different rooms. These are what they are. It's entirely up for the players to figure out where they lay out, and I guess you guys didn't have any problem at all with continuity of how this ship was done up. Like there wasn't any issue whatsoever.
I like how you have average 8 next to your face.
Average 8.
The difficulty.
That's my difficulty. Yes,
that's the difficulty. Yeah. Yep. I do like the visual, the visuals here. Like I like the visuals. And not everyone likes it. Some people prefer to just have the Hollywood Square thing going on. But I like, myself personally, I like that I can see Max's character sheet right there. Like that you'd put that up. I thought it was good. I like that. So
yeah, I would also say I think what you can do on some of these, one of the criticisms that I can imagine of this style is, well, what if the layout of the ship is important to something that's going on? And I could see having a compromise, and this is, I think part of the preparation and part of the fact that this is a game and not improv. If you've got something going on that's part of your story hook, part of your world, let's say, for instance, I played years ago in a Call of Cthulhu game where coming back from the Antarctic, there was a creature that was growing in the engine room because it was warm. And the layout of the ship made a difference. So in that case, having a simple deck plan so that people know what's where.
Yeah, you prep one more image, and when the captain says, computer, show me a tactical display of something, surroundings, and then bloop, that's when you just bring up the whole ship map.
Yeah.
And it says, you are here somewhere.
I think there's a room for a spectrum here between going, totally, I'm visualizing this, each player is an individual, and having everything kind of laid out, depending on whether it's appropriate or important or not. And again, this is part of the genius of 4D. There are times when it really doesn't matter what the tavern looks like, but it does matter what the castle looks like.
Yeah.
So the tavern you don't bother with, the castle you have a floor plan.
Certainly. That in this instance, it did not matter. Like as the game master, it did not matter to me. That was kind of like what my set thought was. Didn't matter to me how they envisioned how this ship was constructed. They knew what it looked like. They know the rooms. It's entirely up to them. I had no pictures of like the ducts and the HVAC systems and stuff like that. There was no need for that. I let that all be, theater of the mind and laid out however it was. I was, I was constructing it like in my mind, left, right, where it was going. That was it. I was just basically writing down a few notes. And the players filled in everything else for me, so I didn't really have to work as hard in making a layout or anything. And I was prepared for that because that was my thing for this. Maybe in another kind of thing, we're thinking about doing something about a space station. We might have a simple layout, like a. Something like you would see in a mall or something, how they have those displays in a mall where they show you all the rooms and stuff. Something like that, maybe. And that's about it. That's all you really need. And let the players, decide. What's up, Crispy?
Oh, I was just going to say, as long as it's consistent, like it is, if you say that you turn right, you arrive at the engine room, then from that point forevermore, if you turn right, there you will reach the engine room and not all of a sudden the galley or the brig or open space, right? Like
the way you guys described where you were going, you were just saying I head off to the engine room or to the the auto dock. It was kind of like the way Star Trek is. They would say where they're going, and boom, they go to the next scene, or they cuts to another scene in another totally different room, which could have been, the ship, the little ship boat. So we'd have these little cut back and forth, and then when we cut from the ship's boat with the two characters on there, we're back on the ship. And we're in where you've decided to go to, the engine room or wherever.
Turbo lift is like the loading screen between different rooms.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can do that,
cool.
Awesome. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having, especially on a ship, like you're using your Star Trek example. I wouldn't consider myself a Trekkie. I like it, but I'm not a super fan. But it seems to me that many parts of the ship had a picture of the ship on some terminal somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not, even if it was something that kind of an overall deck plan, I think that would be okay. The problem becomes when you start trying to move around the pieces on the map. That's when things really start to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's pretty unnecessary if you have a low player count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
I've done these kinds of games, and the players never go to the engine room for some reason. Because they don't know. Maybe they don't know science, and they don't want to be the guy who has to say scientific jargon inside the engine room about a main malfunction, and they don't want to talk like that.
Oh yeah.
So they don't. They just avoid going to that room.
You need to get more into Doctor Who. He's always going to the engine room.
His whole TARDIS is an engine room, I think. So let's go back here. Let's go to a different scene here. We will go to a totally different game here.
Is this 2D also?
This is also 2D. So I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and switch the icon here.
I was gonna ask you if you had any clips of actual 3D virtual reality stuff.
Oh well, this is gonna be about as close as it's gonna get there, Shauner. Here we go.
Well, that's maybe not a bad compromise right there.
This is using Tabletop
Simulator, so we'll see how he carries on here.
That's incredible. Like I'm amazed with this, but
this is how you play Twilight Imperium now.
Oh yeah, board games can be played like this now. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's great for board games.
I just plan. Let's go. let's go do our plan.
Okay, stop
do you
moving
want to
it.
flesh this plan out, or do you want to continue brainstorming, or do you want to leap right into action?
Oh yeah, this
Your
guy.
guys
Yeah,
only
this
do
guy's
have
always
16 Stop moving.
hours, but I
Is-
imagine you would have.
He's all stop.
Just stop moving it.
Rick is trolling.
It looks
us.
great. Just stop moving it. You're not doing that, Rick. This is a recording, right?
No, this is recorded.
Kicked the referee.
This is why I couldn't have this, because I would be that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spinning it around. I'm going to be I would be that guy. So whoever recorded
Let
this,
go of the mouse.
that would be me. They would have to have an intervention and be like,
He's a chain
Chris,
smoker.
if you
He has
touch
to
the
have
mouse
something in his
again,
hand.
that's it. And I would be that guy. Anyway.
They should record it from someone's viewpoint where they're not messing with them.
Yeah, like it's,
Right.
Well, hopefully it'll settle
this
down.
guy. No, it doesn't. It's just constant.
It doesn't settle down.
No.
No. It's
He's simulating motion sickness.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so let's listen carefully to the cadence. Close your eyes if you need to.
I'm gonna have to. I'm just gonna listen.
Okay, here we go.
Had time to talk about this while you were resting and recouping up to this point. So planning time, you got a little bit of. Once you set everything in motion, you'll be on a very tight time schedule.
Okay.
Where am I?
We want to ask our brokerage people if they can have some people stand by to support in case this goes horribly wrong.
How many 1D players are in this game?
You know,
So who was speaking there? You've watched this whole thing, Rick. Who was speaking just now? Is that a player asking?
That was one of the players. So the game master is kind of speeding up time, yet he's giving the players a time limit and saying,
like
"Okay,
that.
guys, this
That's
is
good.
this is what you guys have to do before this happens." So the players are doing their planning kind of out of context, out of character. So. Yeah, in our kind of situation, we stay in character during those discussions. So if there would be a discussion between players, relaying, their ideas of how we should approach this kind of situation, Captain. What should we do about this? How many people do they have over there? Do we have any estimations? Let's bring it up on the computer. And you do that, as the players, and bringing up, all this information that you may need to know, instead of asking the game master back and forth. And that's the main problem here with this one, is it's a lot of back and forth.
Well, I would give props to the game master. I don't know the context of the rest of what was going around, but when he presented them with the challenge, he did it succinctly and with the important facts.
Yes.
And I thought that was really good.
I like that too. And I like planning. I like when players plan. But I agree with you, Rick. It'd be better if you could do that in character than stepping out of character and then.
Did anyone ever play the caller in character back in the 70s?
No.
That was the guy who spoke for the entire group.
Was that something that when you had groups of like 15 players and stuff like that? Is that
even if you just had 4 people.
Oh, really?
Usually you had one guy, he was the co-GM. He would be the caller.
Yeah, he would tell the GM what the group was going to do. The idea was to keep people from talking over each other and to make sure that, the players were working in concert. That was the idea behind it. But everybody
sounds very war gamey to me, like very much a war game.
Yes.
Yeah. All the people I played with were way too strong personalities to let anybody say what they were doing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true of everyone on this stream. That's for sure.
I object. Sustained.
So let's see. Let's continue on for a little bit more.
But I thought we knew some people. Man, I'm going through my notes and I can't find out who it was.
Good on you for having
I thought
notes.
we had some raiders that were helping us.
I like the hex map they're using.
You are a whole entire, like that was Edge of the Empire.
Are they using
Dracula
GURPS?
goes.
No, I believe they're using the.
I was just reading.
They're using the Traveler Second Edition rules.
Okay, because that's a GURPS map they're using.
So they're using a form of recall from their previous episodes in here, and it's a lot of out of character discussion, and stuff like that. You can tighten up in a 4D or a 3D game, and just by interacting with each other, you can also you can bring up like actual factual things from the game master through an interface or through a form of recollection that could be brought in for the player if need be.
Yeah, play a recorded tape message of some sort, or or go to a console and type in some prompts on a console.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as campy as it can be, every so often having a prop, can be helpful for that.
Just display something on the screen for the players to look at.
And I was going to say, it should be, if you're trying to plan, but trying to plan as your character, then that could be part of the fun of the session. Like, it's not just me trying to plan again with the same guys that have the same strategies every time because that's their go-to. Yeah. If we're trying to stay in character and do the planning, then that can actually be a memorable part of the session. Right.
There's you could have a little bit of grading going on between a couple of players.
Impose some limitations on yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe I have, maybe my real world experience. I know exactly what to do here, but instead of using that, I'm gonna play the character, and the character doesn't know, and so I'm going to impose that limitation on my planning when I'm talking to the other characters. So, and just a thought, because we're not trying to say, well, you should never try to plan out your plan of attack. You just fly by the seat of your pants all the time. No, but you should try to plan in character.
Yeah, I mean, how well is space exploration going to go if you have a bunch of people out there who just react?
That's right.
You're not
to the stars.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to go fishing off the Grand Banks in a fishing boat with everybody just like, well, we'll just worry about that when it happens.
Just poke and prod the players with disasters.
Yes.
One thing I like with Round Robin is that it forces the 1D players to talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gets them out of their shell. See, it's okay. I'm not going to bite your head off.
Yeah, for sure. Let's continue on. Now we are into some familiar territory that we've seen recently. Once again.
Is this the full
screen?
The red, there's two videos.
You should all be able to see the spaceport, right?
Yeah. So
the purple is the treasure ship. The red is where you guys were able to land.
Okay, yeah, right. Yes. Beautiful.
Okay, so if we were in a 4D version of this, what would be described instead of having, for instance, Derek here outline all these details? He's going to be showing every spot where every ship is. He also makes a mistake here, so but he ends up correcting. The thing is, in a 4D, you create focus by your description. So you can describe that the ship is coming in, and your pilot says, "We're coming in hot. We got a few ships down below. Oh, we see that treasure ship down there." You can bring in an NPC. I'll go ahead and land her like real close. And that you make the action happen by the actions of your characters or your NPCs, and then the rest of the players can interact with their round robin. Here it's just basically Derek explaining everything to everyone.
Are they going to take an hour to land their ship here?
Well, it's already landed. They've already put the red dot there. The purple dot is the treasure ship.
And that's the objective, is the purple dot?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is, yes.
Yeah. So they were looking for that.
They were looking
in
for
character.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a difference, because that's what I was about to say is like, if they're just landing at a random, in an airfield, and there happens to be a quote treasure ship, whatever that is here, introducing that into the gameplay, that's where you have to have the good interaction between experienced role players and the game master. Because the last thing you want to do is blur out, oh, you look out the window and see a treasure ship. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting. You need the pilot to say, or you need to have it be appropriate for them to, in character, discover the fact, hey, there is something here that kind of catches your eye. Maybe a treasure ship is labeled differently than others and would be notable in general terms. I mean, it's like in the old days sailing the high seas, when you saw a Spanish treasure galleon en route from Mexico to Spain, you knew it when you saw it. And the privateers were looking for that. So it's like, all right, we're keeping an eye out for ships. We've got to look out, oh, you see a Spanish galleon low in the water, like it's got a heavy cargo. I
remember they were playing pirate characters.
But this is all, that's a challenge. If they're not specifically there knowing there was a treasure ship there, knowing the details, that makes an interesting challenge both for role play and game mastering to introduce that.
Yeah, so in this situation, I would probably have the computer chirp up and say that there is an 89% chance probability that the ship coming up on screen is the ship that they are searching for, and of course word it properly. But that would be the gist of what I would give them for the information. I would let the players go ahead and explore this further, but also give them descriptions as they're landing, of the things that are bleeping up on their screens. There's going to be other ships as well, which perk up on as blips around here. And that could be conveyed to them easily through that means, instead of, what Derek is doing here, putting down a map, putting blips down, and giving such a wide expanse of what the players can see. That's just an information overload for them.
I usually add one layer on top of that. I have false positives, and I have unreliable narration going on.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and especially in horror games, that becomes a huge thing. The unreliable narration is a huge part of that landscape.
So NPCs could say you're clear to land. Maybe they don't know. Depends on your skill. Still, it's not an autopilot thing.
Yeah. Shall we continue on with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to hear more.
Right.
We shall.
Is it frozen?
Nope. He's looking up stuff.
Oh, he's looking up. Okay.
I'll mark them with, I don't know.
It's the speed of Derek.
So we got an egg shape over here and over there.
So he's making
force ships.
Yep.
And then you've got a wanderer, hopeful wanderer. You've got a scout ship.
They're playing play by post, but live and with cameras.
I would suggest that if those ships are already going to be there, then maybe put them on the map beforehand if you really need a map for it.
Yeah, and that's it. Those are.
But that's okay. It's just I'm just nitpicking there.
I wouldn't even have a map in this case. It would be, you just bring things up. The players can imagine where they are. They know that they're landing very close to that treasure ship, though. But that would be, the only thing.
Reminder. I'm glad you picked this, because it's a good reminder for those of us that are getting ready to run more games here in the near future, that when describing a scene, it's really important to limit the scope of what you're describing to what, because otherwise you end up describing blades of grass that don't matter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm not suggesting he's doing this here, although it just seems really slow. And I'm trying to picture this, like these are pirates, I'm assuming. I haven't watched the session. It's pirates of Drynax, whatever.
Drynax,
Drynax, you silly science fiction name.
Drynax sounds cool.
So I would imagine that speeds of these aren't slow speed pirates. I imagine it's smash and grab most of the time. It's a heist.
Oh, they're tavern pirates.
Oh, okay. More like con artists, right? Okay. I'm sorry. We should watch some more because I wanted to see some more of this.
It's a slow speed train wreck. That's what this is.
Guys, this is not pirate board.
So I was just going to say,
this is serious.
Who's this
pirates.
guy? He has something. What's the artwork below the DM's or what is it? Referee. Below the referee's portrait, what is that, Rick?
That's that is King Oleb. And
is he in the scene? Is he here?
No, he's listening to Derek, and he's got that look on his face, like,
okay.
When will it end?
So that's not actually something that's in. That's something that someone they've just met or something.
It's a slideshow of traveler pictures.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, he has that going.
It adds decoration to the mess. And below that, I think, is die rolls, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, first, let's contact administration and shuttle up on our landing.
Good.
Hey, Skip, I've got a question. I should know this. With the amount of fuel we can put on, can we get 2 jumps out of it if we're not moving?
How about I check the fuel supply to see if we can do 2 jumps?
No, we can get 2 jump ones or 1 jump 2.
But that was actually okay, I would say, because he asked it in character to the other guy in character, and then they answered.
And the player replied in character too.
And so I thought that was great. That's a 3D move right there. Yep. I as long as it was meant that way, unless he was just asking the other player.
That's what I took it as. I felt
and I could see how you would take it that way. And I'm trying to be charitable here that they're in character and just discussing it, and in which case that's good. It's a 3D move.
One of the players kind of interrupts the other players, so they're not asking the GM questions.
Well, that's good.
So
I find that helpful.
He sort of tackles the questions as they arise. There's another player in this game who's invisible. He's not even got his camera on or anything.
Oh, so there's actually 3 players?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe 4. He loses players, and then he gains new ones, and then he loses them.
Well, that's...
And one of them's in the engine room.
Every game is like that.
Revolving door for this game.
Okay, so you call
one of the players is in the engine
offices.
room.
Okay. This is something I want you to know. When you were landing, I kind of glazed over this. But this administrative building down here, it's not a building. It's an assault carrier. It is a spacecraft, an Oslon class assault carrier.
Rick, what are you doing to us?
So... this is the problem with maps sometimes is you misinterpret what things are if you're not familiar with the literature that you are reading through in order to perform this Gravios kind of campaign. So the thing is with when you have theater of the mind or mindscapes, as Chandra prefers to call it, you don't have that problem. You're bringing up things through your imagination. You only need a small list of the ships that are around in the situation.
Yeah,
and you can make the game happen any which way. The players can imagine it any which way that they want to, and you let the players run it that way. I may have a set idea in my head, but that goes away as soon as the players start describing stuff, and then I'm just back and I let the players tackle the situation. Do they go after the? Do they check out the treasure ship? Do they check out this Aslani carrier or troop carrier, I guess is what it's supposed to be? Do they look at all the rest of the vehicles that are around this area? Do they encounter like the security guards, all that kind of stuff? Derek is going to have a heck of a lot of issues trying to populate this spur of the moment by putting in a group of mercenaries here or some security guards here or whatever. With theater of the mind, automatic. You can bring it in at any point and create the situation at hand without having to work away here in real time and put stuff down. So
the way same old G would do this, that little circle where the red and purple dots are, he would explain just that location.
Yeah.
This is where you're landing, that kind of thing. Or this is where you've landed. You're parked here. That sort of thing. And then the players walk around and they discover the rest of the area.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think we've seen enough of this.
With that, just on
one
that.
more comment.
One more comment. His name's Derek. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Derek.
He I feel like he has a lot of knowledge of the system. Like he knows the game very, very well, and it comes through with his excitement about how the security office is actually this assault carrier. It's this class of ship, and I think that's cool. But the problem is that when you have this asset that doesn't match up to what your description is, you're just inviting players to start asking questions.
Yeah, more questions.
And it's a shame because he's obviously prepared a lot for this session, and it slows down to a crawl when it could have been really dynamic and things going. If I was in his game, I wouldn't know what that character looked like or that ship would look like. So maybe instead of spending so much time drawing on this map, just having a quick picture of that particular assault cruiser or whatever it was, carrier. It's like, oh, that looks big and mean. We're pirates. We better be careful. That's probably why he pointed that out, to generate a little bit of suspense, maybe if he thinks that way. But I do feel bad because he has a lot of knowledge there. You can tell that he's spent a lot of time on this, but it's just not coming through in a dynamic game where people are going to be talking about it for years to come.
Yeah,
and that raises an interesting, to me, an interesting point and part of the challenge of this. Let's assume for a moment that the GM, the Derek, I guess the guy running the game, intended for this to be something that wasn't initially noticeable as you were landing, either because you're concentrating or he's whatever. And now that you're landed and you're looking around and he's decided, oh, you suddenly notice the administration building is actually an assault carrier that's a threat to your existence and, probably has you in their computer as a privateer and now you're a sitting duck. That could be a great plot point.
Yeah.
But my question is, okay, so at what point, game mechanic wise, where and how do I introduce, as the person running this game, the privateer's opportunity to spot that? And how am I going to do that in a way that's not, doesn't make it a sore thumb? And because I think that could be a really great moment. And that may be, to your point, Chris, be exactly what he intended. It's like, yeah, you sat down and you realize, oh, that's actually not a building. It's kind of way over there to the side, so you weren't paying a lot of attention. But that presumes what the player's doing.
I would not even correct myself or explain the rest of this airport, the starport. I would have the characters doing what they're going to go and do in the first place. Spend the day. When they come back to their ship, there's guards blocking the entrance to the gateway to their ship. And it looks like their ship's gonna be cut through with some sort of metal torch thing, and their ship's gonna be searched.
That's pretty harsh. I mean, for me as a player,
I run
for me as a player, if I'm an experienced privateer, I'm sorry, but it's like I'm gonna notice an assault ship sitting at a spaceport. I'm going to notice that. I should at least have a chance to notice that.
Well, and maybe the cue to note it for you to role play that would be something like your automated systems on your ship saying, we've got a target lock, we've got multiple target lasers on us right now from the ground. And then our goes off, or some panel starts flashing. We're being targeted by heavy beam
By
weaponry
what?
from the ground. By what? And then it comes up.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, well that's as what was it? Islani, whatever, yada yada yada.
Assault ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
then
great
they'd
call.
have
That is
the
a great
computer
call.
would be like, oh yeah, there's a problem, and then the players can figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what ship they're
Okay.
using, so I don't know if they can see below them, line of sight on the ground as they're landing. Oh shit!
Maybe
there's a
using that
assault
ship from the
over
previous clip that
Maybe-
it's still in a flat spin.
one of the players, maybe their character has recon of some sort. Maybe they've encountered the ships before, so they just in the corner of their eye they just notice it as they're landing. Oh shit!
Right. So again, how do you, to your point, Shauna, if you're going to go that route, how do you introduce that? Do you, as your referee, you tell them, make a perception check?
Oh no, I don't do that. I let the players role play because role play solves everything. So usually
Okay,
the captain
so,
or somebody, a co-pilot is saying, I'm looking out the window as we're landing, looking to see.
Okay.
Maybe they were clued in on something happening ahead, and they're just looking out, keeping an eye out for anything, checking for traps as they're landing their ship.
Yeah.
Instead of this, all of a sudden, everyone do their recon roll or perception rolls or intelligent rolls or.
Okay.
Yeah. The timing could be like they could see that as being a building. That would be fine for me as the game master.
Yeah.
As soon as they walk out of their ship, I could as they're their whatever the stairs that come out come down, and they see across the tarmac the ship raise up from the building like a elevator coming up, and then they see the Aslani cruiser come out from the port underneath and make it more dramatic that way. And then they'd be like, oh shit.
I don't know what this looks like in 3D, so I don't know if they could have seen from where they are across the runway, or if they're in some sort of a hub with a surrounding wall, like in Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon always lands in a little
Depression.
tiny hole in the ground.
Good point. Yeah, I think you're right. That either way, if you just said, okay, as you're walking down the ramp of your ship, you notice something unsettling. The building across the way is not actually a building.
I would just not bring it up again until they get close enough.
That too,
in that direction. In front of you is an assault ship, and they go,
all right,
holy crap.
Let's continue on.
I mean, you want to say it in a way that the players don't start asking a million questions about it. How big is it? Is it one of ours? Is it the bad guys? Are we in trouble now? Should we roll for something?
We'll go to our last one here. This is the last of the little scenes here. And we'll continue on for this one.
Well, 4 more weeks. So now you have 9 weeks for everybody.
Oh no, not this guy.
We got 9 weeks to live, guys.
Okay, good. Mark it off the ship funds, the regular ship profits. And so you're loaded up okay. Do you want to make a move to now do your jump from Flostono to Clienda? Oh, and the cargo, Mr. Liu's freight does arrive with some workers who haul the stuff on grav pallets, and they look like they have pretty ferrety criminal faces, but they don't bother you none. They can deliver the 15 tons of freight. That's loaded. Regular workers from the starport will load the other cargo, your 15 tons of advanced machine parts, your 30 tons of basic raw materials. This takes several hours to coordinate. I think we reached day 120.
All right. Before I torture you with that anymore, there is a ton of missed opportunity in here. That
nothing's. I got to jump in here. Nothing says criminal like a ferret face. I mean, that's a dead giveaway in all genres across all types. If they've got a ferret face, that's a criminal gang.
I
just had to get that in.
This feels more like playing a spreadsheet than a game. And maybe Rick is just cherry picking here, and shame on you, Rick, if you're cherry picking this, but because a game should have some excitement, some obstacles, some tension. We're basically just checking off. We're what, dry bulk shippers now? Is that what Traveler is?
Shauner, am I cherry picking? You know full well what this is.
Okay,
you're
throwing darts, and you're picking. It doesn't matter where the dart lands. You're going to end up with this.
Yes.
So yes, to be fair, there is a huge warning here. Mm-hmm. What's the ship name? The Steppenwolf. What do you expect with Hermann Hesse?
So I look
at
this.
This is a 1D game though, and the players are just sitting there, and they're being read from a book. The GM's reading from the New World Encyclopedia from 1970,
mm-hmm.
and they're just sitting there with their popcorn listening while the guy reads.
The part that got me was, you got 9 weeks to live. Oh, by the way, here's your cargo. I'm like, what?
What do I care if I have cargo? I've got 9 weeks. I think he's talking about the life support, right? Like, so I think he was saying you have this much for life support.
Yeah, food.
Yeah.
Okay. Electricity, bills and stuff.
It just does. It feels a lot like a spreadsheet, and I just think one of the criticisms that we sometimes get when we're talking about exercising, co-creative license as player and GM is that, you're just going to hand wave important details like how much can you carry and what's in your pack and all of that. And that's not true. When you're in character and you stay in character, the items in the world are even more important. They're not less important because that's life or death for your character. And you're not trying to just check it off the spreadsheet. It's really important. So like, we're going to really care about that 9 weeks thing, probably more than the 15 tons of whatever machined parts or whatever he said. So yeah, 4D is not removing the equipment requirements or inventory requirements or any of the sort. That's still there. It's very
still
important.
There. It's not hand waved.
No.
The scenes are quick, just like in a movie. Ripley says, "Where do you want this?" And she's got the forklift she's inside of, and she's just unloading or loading stuff.
Yeah, I would just say, here's the shipping manifest. Here's what it is. Great. Load it up. All good, Captain. Good to go. Here's the manifest. And then that's an asset you can just give to the players.
And you can fast forward 2 hours to the next scene if you want.
Yep.
Yeah. When the guy said you have 9 weeks to live, and you mentioned, okay, this is your atmosphere supply, or your basic lifespan of life support in your starship. The first thing that popped into my brain was, I'm going to go down to the engine room and check the oil coolant leak on the hyperdrive. Because
that'd be good.
That's what I went to immediately. It's like, what would I do if I were the guy there?
Yeah, I'd be checking the CO2 scrubbers, and I need to.
You want to be there when the ship has to do an emergency evacuate, and they forget you're down there. And there's no gravity in the engine room when you're working on it. So it's like you got fluid and crap, and there's flames going off and decompression.
Advanced machine parts on your chest.
Yeah, you can't even get to the intercom to say, turn on anti-gravity, whatever.
See, I go to do preventative maintenance, and Shauner's already killing me here.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. When I role play out, I expect to die like 30% of the time in the game. It's more challenging. It's more interesting.
And while you're doing all the players are doing the mundane stuff, some of the action-oriented players could cut in on this situation with the nefarious-looking people, loading up these crates and stuff. Like, they could do some, incredible stuff. They could do, they can, sneak around, see what these labels are on the crates, that sort of thing, and discover, themselves instead of having everything spewed to the players. Yeah.
Right. Or start talking to the guys to see what they have to say and see if you could get a clue of, what the heck's going on here.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked this, even though I still think you cherry picked it, Rick. I'm glad you picked this
you
because
have to look for this. It's not like
do I?
It's not. It's not recommended.
Have
by
to
YouTube.
is a strong language. I don't. So my I just wanted to say, and I'll try to be brief for once, that oftentimes when people hear role play, what they really just think is that you're going to take half an hour of our game session tonight in real time, buying something from the general store. But role play should the concept of role play should not just be slow talking, but like or slow dialogue. I'd like to use a definition of role play was you're in character, but there's action happen. It's there's
You're always moving.
movement. And I don't see in this, there's not much movement. There's maybe movement to paper between the guy that's loading the 60 tons of stuff, but there's not a lot of movement of character. And I want that to be involved in the definition of role play, not just the talky stuff. I'd rather have things, yes, I want you to speak in character, but I also want you to move your character around and do things, not just stand there talking.
In Forbidden Planet, the characters are always moving. 2001, the characters are always moving, except if they're eating lunch. Now, in Dark Star, one of the crew members never moves. That's the captain. He's on ice, so he has reasons for why he doesn't move in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, but you make a great point, Crispy, and I think as we're talking about 4D and kind of proselytizing about it, we do not make that point well at all, and that's something I'm definitely going to bring forward. It's like, just because you're role play doesn't mean you're not doing things, doesn't mean you're not using skills, doesn't mean you're not moving around, doesn't mean you're not having combat. It absolutely does mean that, but you're doing that not as a mechanic, but as a character.
Exactly. I don't want role play to be synonymous with slow, like or
dialogue,
or just dialogue. Yeah, it's part of it, but I don't want role play to feel slow. Yeah.
Idle chit.
Guilty.
So, just to go ahead and make sure that we're not going to lead this on for too long. Any other thoughts and insights about any of this? Like, this is pretty much it for. I don't want to go any further than this on this. It's more spreadsheets for your information, but
no more spreadsheet.
Well, I'm glad you started with your game, Rick. I'm really glad you started with yours.
That's the thing is because the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the stream is when people start to leave. So I may as well show, hey, I can criticize myself just as much as anything else here, and it's to improve. It's to improve myself, and that's the whole idea behind this. It's a skill that you have to develop, and if you get a bunch of guys that you can practice with, you learn and you adapt and you become better and better at it. And that's the key here is we're trying to do it to become better and better at it.
And you show other people how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's important to point out too, and I think we should say this because again, I'm seeing everywhere I just even type in 4 and then D. Oh, you're an elitist. You're the broSR. You're this. You're that. It's like, dude, no. But in reviewing this, it's like I can see where that perception comes from.
Right.
And I think it's important to point out some of this stuff. In retrospect, it feels a little cringy. But keep in mind, these people we're showing what has gone before. We're showing what's in the past or what's already in the books, and that doesn't mean there isn't a better way forward. And the other day on the Black Lodge stream, I think it was, they had a guy who's written a book, I forget the title, about how to be a good dungeon master, but it's apparently a really good one. Yeah, okay, yeah. I
just got it.
And the author said something that was complete genius. He says, I take my hobby seriously the way a New England lawyer takes his model railroading.
Ooh,
and
good.
that is a perfect analogy. It is.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been in the model railroading world, everybody starts out with a 4x8 sheet of plywood with an oval on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then 15 years later, you're looking at pictures. Yeah, and you 15 years later, you're looking at this guy's layout. It's like, is this actually a picture of somebody out rail fanning of real trains, or is this guy's layout? I mean,
crazy.
People evolve in that hobby.
They do.
And this is the same. This should be the same thing. It's like, we're not talking about, oh, we're better than you because look how we do it. No, we're trying to say, here's a way of bringing a form of gaming that you will find, and pardon me for ranting here, but I'm going to rant for just a little longer and I'll be done. Your games will be more interesting to you and more compelling. Your players will come back for a campaign because it's interesting. And most importantly, and this is the hill I'm ready to die on, and I'm probably going to all over the internet, is our hobby is stagnating because everybody out there comes in as the kind of guy who likes to play a beer and pretzels game and make bad puns and do a little bit of die rolling. And guess what? We've saturated that segment. We need to bring in some normies. And the way you do that is you have a compelling game that is engaging and challenging.
Yeah.
And 40
the normies will run their own games too, or they'll trade turns being the GM.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Instead of just the forever GM and all the 1D players constantly.
It's a way to reach a segment of people who have never played D&D. And if they come and they see the old school way of playing D&D where you're just rolling dice, you're doing the murder hobo thing.
Yeah.
That's fun for a couple of times. Yeah. And they leave again.
Yeah.
And the same with the beer and pretzel and the 2D and the 3, even some of the 3D. It's like, I don't find that compelling as a hobby. I'm done with it. And we need to have a mode of gaming that's like, no, this is going to keep you coming back. What's going to happen next?
Yeah. Yep. And it's the combined, imaginations of all the players that are playing, and their turns actually matter. What they do actually matters in the game. So it's not like, we're just chucking out a bunch of, talky talk just to make talky talk.
I totally see you, Shauner.
Yeah. All righty. Yeah. So any other things before we go ahead and hit the outro? Crispy, everybody's good.
Oh, I've said way too much. I like what Dan's.
Me too.
Yes. And we'll talk to everybody on the other side here. So guys, stay tuned. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Alright, if you made it this far in the video and you feel like you want to go ahead and punch that subscribe button, we're learning stuff, I'm learning stuff, let's all learn together.
Subscribe now. Subscribe to 28mm RPG, subscribe to Big Bad RPG, and subscribe to Table Runner 3.
Thanks for joining us. Keep an eye out for our next upload. We'll look forward to having you on the next one. Bye.